This is Cody Chavis. I'm recording for Emergency Services Technology, Mr. Richard Collins. I'm here with Chief Marvin Murray of the Cheraw Fire Department. Chief Marvin, thank you, sir, for having me.
Sure, glad to help.
I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about my class. It's to do with technology and emergency services of this day and age, and the advancements and stuff of your department.
Sure.
So, how important do you consider technology in your current operation?
It's very important. I feel like if we don't try to keep up with technology, we will get behind. We use computers to do our reports with, and we've also got communications depend heavily on technology. So I think it's very important.
Do you have any contingency plans should your technological systems fail?
We do have paper backups for our reports. We have analog radios to just in case the digital radios go out. So we'd have a few contingencies just in case stuff like that happens.
Yeah. Where do you see technology in 10 years in your service?
I think that maybe record keeping and communications is probably the biggest where we see the biggest advancements. Also in there's a lot of advancement as far as electronics and stuff on our gear and our air packs. We're starting to use a lot more electronics as far as tracking people and locations and that kind of stuff.
Could you give an example of that?
Like some of the new pass devices actually have ways to track people throughout a fire scene. So you could you could actually go up on a computer screen and watch and see where your firefighters are at and their conditions and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Do you think technology has hurt or hindered your service in any way?
I think it's helped. I can't really think of a way it's hindered it. Other than maybe sometimes relying a little bit too much heavily on technology like thermal imaging cameras and stuff like that. You get a false insecurity, get in, you can see real good with thermal imaging, go get in the house and something happens and it dies, and you still got to know how to do the old school way of getting back out.
Right.
So, that would be the only disadvantage.
Is just relying on it too much?
Maybe possibly relying on it too much.
All right. What type of technologies are used within your service?
Well, we do use thermal imaging cameras. Some of our communications are like 800 megahertz radios and stuff like that is real heavily on technology.
Okay. How do technologies assist in your daily operation, and then during large scale incidents?
Daily operations we use it for like record keeping, and also the large scale incidents. They're good for tracking personnel. Be better. Sometimes it's a lot better than old method of writing it on a bulletin board. But if we share, we have a system where we can track personnel, we can share that with other agencies within, a large scale incident. They can look at a glance and see who we've got there. We can look to see who they have.
Right.
So I think it helps in that one.
Is there any redundancy of technology within your agency or organization?
There again, the training is one of the big ones. If something happens and some of that technology fails, we'll be able to go back and still use our better turn old school way of doing
right.
it. Not so we don't have to rely so heavily on if it does fail. Same thing with our pumps, and our new ladder truck is very heavily upon technology. And it's designed with fail safe so that if some reason that technology fails, then it won't allow us to be put in a dangerous situation. It just won't allow you to use the truck instead of using it where something could hurt someone. It just won't let you use it at all.
And for all the viewers, Cheraw Fire Department just purchased a new ladder truck for the department. Chief Murray, would you kind of explain the truck?
Yes, a 2015 Pierce mid-mount platform. It's built on. If you know much about trucks, it's built on what they call an Air XT chassis. It's a custom truck. They basically get the wheels and tires and axles and frame rails in, and then they build it completely from scratch. I mean, they build a cab from sheet metal to the paint, the whole 9 yards, and then same thing with the ladder. It's all built completely in house. They bring in raw steel, build it, paint it, install it on the truck and everything. So all technology is done in house.
Okay. All right. So, if anything, the past week in Charleston has highlighted this. In the absence of information, people tend to make up their own. how are you implementing social media such as Facebook or Twitter to disseminate accurate information to your citizens?
Well, we get together, and typically, if anything's put out, it's gone through me first and get it approved to be released. We do have Cheraw Fire Department does have a Facebook page. We also have a website, and we try to make sure that we keep, especially media, informed. And we provide them with accurate information. We've got a real good working relationship with both our local papers and radio stations.
Right.
So, they real, would tend to come to us a lot sooner and ask us instead of just printing something,
Okay.
which is a good way.
And have you ever had a time where that's happened? Somebody's gave out information before contacting you and gave out the false information?
Not since I've been chief, because I only haven't been chief quite a year yet.
Right.
So I haven't had that situation. Fortunately, I've had a pretty good relationship with the media as the training officer, using putting training events and stuff in the newspaper. So far they hadn't had that issue. Everybody's been pretty good about coming to us.
Okay. Question number 9 here. We kind of talked about it before with the air packs and tracking, but are there any specific technologies which have aided in the safety of responders?
I would say the pass devices, which alerts us if someone's down or injured. That's a big technology to help. Thermal imaging cameras are not only help us identify and find victims a lot easier. It also helps us to be able to move through the structure safer. The pass devices, the newer ones actually have tracking capabilities. We don't currently have that technology here in Cheraw yet, but they're even coming out with new technology to have heads-up displays inside the mask, by like a fighter pilot. It will tell them how much air they got left, and actually almost show them a diagram of your buddy and show if he's low on air and that kind of thing too. So
I think I've read an article on that.
that's something we're looking forward to when it actually comes out. Because I don't know how cost prohibitive it's going to be initially. But
Right. And that kind of goes along with the second part of this question. Is there a technology still evolving that you believe will make a measurable difference in safety?
I think that'll be one of the biggest, is having all that information on that display screen, and it do to the point of actually having a map diagram that'll display on the other building. You can actually enter pre-plans and stuff, so that firefighter can bring up that image and see where he's at in relation to other parts of the building. They tell you in the kitchen, maybe last time we saw the victim, they were laying on the floor of the kitchen. You can actually bring up a diagram and pinpoint where that kitchen's at. So there again, I think it's a pretty good ways away from being on the fire truck ready to use, but I think that's going to be some major technology to help out.
So we know that technology moves fast. I mean, they're coming out with new stuff every day. Does that play into the way your organization chooses what you buy and what you invest in?
It will, and we take in consideration what features are available. That was one thing that sold us on the new Arrow. One was how good it appears. We knew they were reputable, their reputation as a company, plus their warranty, and then the technology that came along with it. We were real pleased with that, and that's what one of the things that sold us on it was their technology, being able to that truck will not let you damage it unless you hit something externally. You can't hit anything internally with the truck when you're moving it around. It won't let you set up unless you're safe to set up, and it won't let you operate the Arrow unless all the pads are right and they're down securely and everything. So.
Right. Okay. In what areas do you think your agency could improve when pertaining to technology?
One thing I'd like to see us do is get a little more up-to-date thermal imaging camera. The ones we've got are first generation that came out. They're big and they're bulky. They still work, but they don't provide nearly the clarity that the new ones do.
Right.
They actually can provide you temperatures differences and show you what the temperature of a particular hot spot is. Where now it just shows up as being a hot spot.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think that's one thing we're looking at trying to upgrade on.
And we kind of hit question number 12 here earlier, but does your agency have a public relations designee? And if so, how do they communicate with the citizens, and how do we get information out to the citizens?
Our current policy is it all goes through the chief first. I have a situation where I'm tied up, I may assign somebody, temporarily to do it for that particular incident. But as of yet, we don't have we are sort of a small department. We've only got 10 full-time personnel, including myself. So, typically most of them are tied up working the scene. So, it's usually, it usually falls back on me, and unless we have a big enough scene where we have multiple agencies, then we may assign one for it, but.
Okay. What key features do you look for when attempting to purchase new technology or new equipment?
Value is our biggest one. You know, we want to make sure that we're getting good technology for a good price. And cost is a big factor with us. So we're really looking trying to have the most get the most we can for the best taxpayer buck.
Right.
Because they're the ones who foot in the bill. It's not coming out of my pocket. It's coming out of taxpayer pocket. So we want to make sure we get the good technology as best we can. We're still saving them money too.
Okay. And my last question that kind of plays into that, what we were just talking about, is how does your annual budget play into the technological advancement of your department?
A lot. Funds are real tight nowadays. I mean, with taxes, everybody's don't want to raise taxes and scared to raise taxes. So, with the federal government and county and stuff doing enough raising taxes, the local government's real hesitant about doing it. So, our budgets are real tight and they have been for the last few years. So we've got to really show a tremendous need for even for new technology to be able to be able to afford it.
Have you guys had any success with or explored maybe writing grants for any technology?
I've actually applied. We need new air packs now, and those new air packs would have some fairly new technology on those. They'll have a very modified heads-up display that gives us just our current status of our air pack. It won't give us, other people's. It won't give us the map, and it won't do all that kind of things. But it does give us our air supply and that kind of thing. And it's got integrated pass devices that are built into the system. And we've applied 3 different times for FEMA grant for it, but that grant's a very competitive grant. There's like $300-something million available, and they have close to 90 billion apply for that 300 million. So, they can't fund a lot of it. So we've been turned down several times on it, but we still try though. Anytime we can get grant money to help better the community and not the community have to pay for it's a good thing.
Definitely. Well, that concludes my questions. I appreciate you meeting with me and answering my questions.
Anytime.
And, thanks again. And I
Good
appreciate
luck.
it.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, sir.